say I was not Islam because I didn't have a beard, right? Orthodox wise, right? But he said, seems you know a little bit about Islam. I said, yes, I do. When I started reciting the opening to him, he was amazed. He said, what are you teaching today? I said, the oneness of God. He almost put on brakes. Wow. That's what the Quran is about, right? He said, you mean someone teaches that? I said, sure, we've been teaching that for years. He invited me to the mosque. You see what I mean? So that means that door's open to us too. You know, I used to talk to Boo from the Israel of God. People didn't know that I had his phone number. And back when we were over east, I used to call him at least once a week. Because, you know, a lot of our members went to his place. I don't know if you all know that. Kennard and different ones went over to his place. And so, you know, I didn't know him. I used to call him about the church that he has now out in the suburbs. He was telling me all the challenges he was having with the Jews that was trying to keep him from purchasing that property or even being in that town, period. They even told him, if you stop saying that you all are the chosen people of God, then we'll let you have this place. Yeah. But see, I can go into their place and be welcome too. But then there are different phases in that group. Because the Yahweh Ben Yahweh group, Hebrews, the Ben Ami group, Hebrews, somewhere there's a difference in their teaching. See, but I learned Ben Ami's ways. And I looked at their diet and I looked at the Nation of Islam's diet and said a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of that, and none of that. And we came up with our diet. Is that correct? Yeah. What's wrong with that? Because if you're going to say you are an all-inclusive black conscious movement, the only way to have a oneness is to look at the things that we have in common, not the things that we differ. That's the thing. That's why we had such a good time last week with the Universal Temple of the Most High. Because of our things we had in common, not the things that we differ under. That is the key to unity. This is why we say in the temple that over the years, 27 years of being under the banner of the Temple of Mercy Association, we've come to the conclusion that the black people that we come across don't want real unity. Because they're not willing to make the sacrifices that it would take to sit at a table and get rid of all their dross. The Moors don't want to sacrifice and sit at the table and undergo a barrage of people calling themselves black. If you recall, we were working with them when we had a laundry detergent called Everything Black. They didn't want to sell it. See, all that stuff that divides us when we're trying to move forward is our beliefs, our philosophy, and this and that. If your belief is not against nature and things that is natural and things that is not against the Creator and the creative force of God Himself, then you should not have a problem changing. You know, what problem would you have because we decided to change the toilet paper and have it pulled from this way instead of the top way? Is that a major challenge there? It's going to meet its desired destination anyway. No, I'm standing on mine. You know, that's how they think though. But we want unity. We want it. I squeeze my toothpaste from the top. Y'all squeeze y'all's from the bottom. That's not right. You see, that's not the way the temple was raised. We saw the condition of our people. We saw the condition of black people in the hellholes of North America. And we saw our condition and said, what can we do to right this oppression? Knowing already that we was not going to get all of our people. We're never going to get all, how many is it? Somehow million, 20 million, maybe 30 now. Might be 40.
It's 52 million in America.
Is it 52 now, black people?
In America.
You got the up-to-date statistic, brother? Okay, that's a lot more than what it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
But you ever notice they still keep us at 13%?
Because they're trying to do
I love that though. They held it there for us to find out what the 13 tribe was. So that was us. They had nailed it on us already. 13. That people right there. So in this movement, we still believe, no matter what, today, that there might be a chance of black people uniting for the common cause. What is our common cause? Health-wise, we all took off. You don't even have to do the statistics. Go out the street, walk down the street. Go around there by the emergency room. Sit in the emergency room. Call your people up, your grandparents. Call your parents up. Call your sister, your brother, your cousin. You tell me you ain't gonna find nobody with diabetes, AIDS, high blood pressure, and every other thing, gout, and edema, and you name it. Heart problems, circulation problems, you name it. So we got these challenges and we have them in common. And it did not matter what your religion was to say, no, that's your religion, we're not gonna do that like that. We ain't gonna let all that stuff be in a group. No. It don't go like that. Somebody got to express, and see, I remember the time when the Salon restaurant opened. I don't know if y'all remember that from the TV. And Vietnamese people and the nation were speaking against each other's diet. And it had gotten to the point where Vietnamese group was told they can't go to the salon. And then the nation could not go, you wouldn't see them inside of Soul Veg anymore. And they was like, well, I'm gonna say we could have milk. Well, Soul Veg said you can't. I'm gonna say soy ain't good for you. Well, Soul Veg said it is. Well, you see what I'm saying? Said we can eat a little chicken and a little fish. Well, Soul Veg said, no, you can't. They said, well, don't let me catch my members over there. They said, don't let me catch my members over there. I know you remember that, Omar, because I spoke on it one Sunday back then. All because of the diet. Then they started saying, well, look at them. You can tell their diet don't work. All the people in the Vietnamese group walk around with big old pot bellies. Don't you see them? They can't even greet each other anymore. I mean, they were saying everything. They say, but look at the nation, they spread all out like this. What's going on? Again, we believe that we can still have unity. But we got to be willing to leave some stuff outside the door. In any dojo, in any martial arts group, and I know this because I was in martial arts at one time. First thing they told me, I was in a thing called the New Alpha Gamma Martial Arts Society. That was a fraternity, college fraternity. And everybody in there knew karate. So I learned to do karate. When I went up north on Sheridan to the Tien Tayo Temple, Kung Fu, that's the first thing they say. Don't you come in here with that. We don't want you to stop us and say, oh, but in my school, no, we don't want to hear that. You out of here. You leave all of that out there. And when you come in here, this is what you learn. Now you can pick it up when you leave out, but you're not going to bring that in here. Now why that can't be the same criteria when black leaders meet? Why that can't be the same criteria when we at the table for the new black leadership summit? Why can't it be? You know, we can say it, we can even read the rules. I remember one time I was at that meeting and they read the doggone rules and everybody said, oh yeah, we vote, sure, we agree with it, and didn't do it. So in other words, it's trying to tell you it ain't just what's on paper. You got to have this thing about unity in your heart. And if it ain't in your heart, you're not going to be a part of the uniting of our people. It ain't that we all got to walk the same way, talk the same way, dress the same way. But at least we can be addressing the same issues. And we got the same issues. The Nation of Islam and the Hebrew Israelites don't never have to agree on what foods to eat. You just stop by the salon and get your plate, and you stop by your place and get your plate and eat it before y'all get to the meat. See how simple that is? If you really want unity, right? If you really want unity. He ain't come with that Bible. So, if that's what got him where he at, he doing good, let him have it. He ain't come with that Quran. So what? Fine. The Usia, what's it called? E5? Odu E5? Did I say it right? Yeah. That's what Yusufu had. Remember he used to come to our temple? And he used to read something from it at the end of every time we finished what we're doing. He was with us during New Year's Eve and everything, and he kept on reading from it saying, brother, you don't know how far you are inside this book because everything that you're saying and doing, I can show you it's already in here. He would read that. Now what if I was crazy? You can't bring no Udu up in here. But we didn't say that. But we learned something, didn't we? Then the We Care Coalition, talking unity for a reason, you all. This is the month that you all going to celebrate another pagan holiday called Mother's Day. I know by me calling it Mother's Day and calling it pagan, some of y'all just got offended. But it's just as pagan as Christmas. Now, let me come on back. But I'm going to talk about the woman, not Mother's Day. I'm going to talk about the woman. I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm speaking of unity. Because of all that's going on right now and how we're constantly being divided. Right now, the same enemy is dividing us among Democrat and Republican, and then even in the Democratic Party, which black person is going to vote for and all that. Why do we get involved in all that? Now black people are fighting because Kanye ran off at the mouth because some stuff in his head don't never come out the way he wanted, and now black people are separated because of stuff Kanye said. You know, and I hope that I'm not telling his secret, but from what my understanding is that because the Jews turned down all his clothing line, he went to a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
See, that's it right there.
If you want to know.
You went to them first. Yes, sir. Tell it.
That's why he was on talk shows hollering mad at all these Jewish designs, because they wouldn't accept his stuff. So what would you do? Sorry, not move on. Told you, when I go deep into stuff, I keep on until it comes to me what's really going on behind the scenes. And I hope that I didn't expose it, but even if I did, that was a good move. In that world, in that realm, that was a good move. Now the thing about us having a choice, well, y'all got mad at him for saying it. You got mad at me when I said Martin Luther King did not die for us to vote. And that he did not die for us to just eat at a lunch counter and use the white toilet and go to the white restaurant. No, he did not. And I'm not going to sit down or stand up and say that and make you believe it was true. No, he fought hard to give black people something that we did not have. Now, wasn't Kanye right in a sense? He said we chose to stay there. But he didn't know that we really didn't have a choice. Now, I'm going to show you something that y'all ain't looking at. In 400 and something years, he was trying to say that at some point we had a choice. When we first hit the land over there, we didn't have a choice. Why? Because somebody forgot the $64,000 question. That's what happened, that's why. What was that question? Basically, the same thing that Kanye was saying. Why did we allow and accept that condition all those years? $64,000 question? Because the first group that came here stopped at an island between Africa and America. What?
Go to that. You tell me what happened.
I'm just trying to tell what happened, that's all.
Yes, sir.
Where some stuff that happened to those black people
That broke.
were not recorded. Couldn't be recorded. Matter of fact, everything you ever saw that was recorded don't even match what they did to those people. whole point was to break them mentally, psychologically, not really physically, and spiritually. And that was the $64,000 question because they did it on that island to us for 64 years. 64 years. Beat them down, broke them, and then brought them to America. They didn't have no fight. They taught their children not to fight. They remembered what happened to them on that island. And they didn't want their children to suffer that kind of stuff they had to suffer. Worse than what we saw about them putting two horses and tying up a pregnant woman or something and splitting them apart and all that. No, this one's worse. You say, how can that be worse? Well, you live. You live. Man, then what he was saying is that after years and years and years, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, remember, every generation gets wiser, but weaker. So now we're moving into what Kanye was trying to say. If that is the process, that means that each generation became wise enough to trigger something from his past that will wake him up to say, there's something wrong with this picture. As Nat Turner. They woke up, Harriet Tubman said, there's something wrong with this picture right here. That in San Kofa, they even showed you that they began to reattach themselves to the spiritual essence of who you call God and began to say, swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry us home. Because they began to connect themselves to another entity that was bigger than their slave master. When they did that, yeah, choice was present. Nat Turner said, y'all with me? Some said yeah, the other one said no. Harriet Tubman, y'all with me? Some said yeah, others said no. Choice, ain't it? When Nat Turner came back at one point in one plantation to find out what took his boys so long to make it to the next plantation, they laid around the place drunk. Because they found some good old whiskey that they was not allowed to have. And they drank and had a party. Slave masters was dead. And they were laid out. Did they have a choice? They chose to drink. See, and that's why today we fast. See, so that we can subdue our passions. So that we can bring our appetite under control. Why? Because we know that the enemy, the same one that was back then, his children are here today, that same enemy deals with us by our desire. Sure. And in order to bring your appetite and desire under control, you got to fast. Because you should not be caught with no chips in your head. You should not be caught with no Danish in your head. You should not, y'all know what I'm saying. Now somebody, you know how we run away with stuff? Yeah. He told his members not to eat chips. He told his members don't eat things. I didn't say you can't eat no things. I'm saying know who you are and where you are at all times. And know what time it is. I'm saying this is Health Awareness Month for us because we should not be having diabetes. We should not be having high blood pressure. We out here, and if they ever decided, the white race, to come against us with weapons and all, and then we try to make it to the next building and somebody say my pressure is up. Oh, don't leave me here.
We're going to take the pills.
Somebody else, I left my syringe on the first floor. I can't take my shot. Did you see my spray? My asthma just kicked in. You ain't no good from oil. You ain't no good. They ain't even got to shoot you, scare you, show you the gun, and your lungs are locked. Dead on the right, didn't get shot. Out of fear. Isn't that sad? That's why this is Health Awareness Month. We put it here dealing with the Temple of Mercy so we can find out how far away we have fallen. Because we do fall because we're human. And we fall off. So during this month it brings us back. It gets us back on. In December when we do our Ramadan fast, some of us may have fell off and started eating meat, maybe nibbled on the leg or something. I know I'm telling the truth. And so in the month of December, we say, even those who eat meat got to be vegetarians at least for 30 days so you can know what it feels like, so you can know why we're doing it. And then you can make the decision, so in January to say, I'm going to just keep it like this. So when you get back on your fast, so when you get back on your proper diet of the temple this month, then let's see if you can maintain it in June. And then in July. You know, I go to banquets on Saturdays and whatnot. I don't know if some of our members still do this, but I go to banquets on Saturdays. Are you going to eat? I said, no, we don't eat on Saturday. I don't eat. Why not? Say, no, I'm fasting from Friday evening to Saturday evening. Nothing? No. The band members, when band members, they looking at me. Oh, well, give me your plate.
They don't care.
And then at a certain point in time, they'll ask you, why is that? You know? You got to be able to tell them. But then one day, don't get caught doing it. And then don't be with members, and then you go sneak somewhere and do it. I've had members do that, and somebody came and told them. Yeah. See, we ain't going to penalize you and put you in jail and wrap your arms around your neck or something like that because you was found eating or we went to your house and we accidentally went to the refrigerator for a cold glass of water and saw a pork chop. We ain't going to beat you up. I'm going to beat you up from the podium. I'm going to talk all about you. Because in this movement, that ain't what we are supposed to do. Number one, we call it a worship service, W-A-R-S-H-I-P, because we are at war, and so we're supposed to be doing all the things that it takes in order to be sustained during the war. Because you don't know the length of time, you don't know how long, but at the same time, you got a choice. Maybe that should be my subject. That should be my subject. So we gotta connect the dots. We gotta put the pieces together. See, and see, just on my interpretation of what happened, it should bring back a sense of unity to our brothers and sisters who not fight with each other verbally because of something Kanye West said. It's just that we got so many pieces and parts to the puzzle separated that when we say something, it's never the whole deal. You got part of it. Part of the teachings. There was a man named Yehudi. They called him Thoth. They called him Hermes. All the different, not religions, but nationalities called him by different names. He was a great medicine man. Great as M-Hotel. But he was a scholar. And he understood nature. He understood fasting. He understood prayer, meditation. And he decided that he wanted to get away from the everyday hustle and bustle of life, living and hanging out, whatever you do back then. And at that time when he was born, the whole earth was one. Some call it Malkuth. Some call it Pangea. I'm trying to remember the other names for the planet that it was one. Them only two I can remember from now. No, that was one area. Kind of like Egypt, Ethiopia, see it?
It's up here. It's up here.
And it's a couple of more. Yeah. So he decided he'll go on a journey and walk the whole face of the earth for the rest of his life. And everything that he studied about nature, he wrote it down. The wind, the rain, the thunder, the lightning, the hurricane, the snow, whatever it is dealing with nature. Study the ants, study the bees, study animals, study plants, study the effect on this and that and whatnot. And then he wrote it down. Then he decided to study human behavior. Oh boy. Had he not studied human behavior, there wouldn't be a Bible. There wouldn't be a Baha'i principles. There wouldn't be any of those things that deal with moral, righteous character. And how you conduct yourself and how you be civilized. There wouldn't be a Ten Commandments. And he buried all of this throughout the whole entire continent. He didn't keep it with him. They didn't find anything on him when he died. He had buried everything. Then today, white folks going around digging stuff up and finding it, changing it, introducing it. Black archaeologists doing the same thing. Then we get the Quran, then we get the Bible, then we get this story, that story. We get all these different books coming from all of that. But yet, the foundation of all of it was Yehudi. Oneness of God. That's what we all about. Hermes. Thoth, they call it. Thoth. At that time, well, there was a time, we're going to say at that time, I can't say what it was at that time. There was a time when there were no vowels in the letters. So Thoth was not T-H-O-T, H. It was T-H, T-H. And basically, Thoth in God is the same thing. Thoughts in God is the same thing. Phi, T-H-E, right? Ology, study of. Theology, the study of the, right? Now there were no vowels, right? Move the E, what you get? T-H. So now you can go all the way back and take your thoughts to thought. You can go all the way back and understand that every time you see a book or anything and it says the this, the that, it means thoughts of that individual. And now you can say, who made those people's mouths a prayer book? Huh? Because we always want something called references for us to believe, right? We don't have any more intuitions than nothing no more. You know, we don't have visions. Where's your reference for your vision? Well, the book of, no, get the hell out of here. Talking about the wonders of God, y'all. And I'm connecting it to our health. You all know that certain forms of depression is caused by a bad liver. Did you know that?
Bad what?
Liver. Your liver needs to be cleansed because of all the toxic buildups and poisons that it collects, get lodged there, and you walking around depressed and don't know it's just your liver needs to be cleansed. You suffering from manic depression. You going to get a pill. The umbrella follow you everywhere you go. And then when you take your pill, the umbrella's still there. But it's just a smaller umbrella. Y'all don't tell the truth. I'm talking about to get rid of it, clean the liver. Detox. You have to, because you don't know what kind of food you're putting in your system. Monsanto done already got a monopoly on it now. And if Monsanto has a monopoly on it, you don't let the name of these grocery stores fool you no more. Whole Foods. Well, maybe not. What's the name of the other? No, that's another health food.
Mariano's.
No, health food. What's it called? Treasure? Is it Treasure Island?
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
You don't know who he traded with this time. You just don't know anymore. So now you must cleanse. We didn't have to years ago because we know that stuff came from the earth. And most of our families, we had gardens, we had crops. We knew about what we were feeding each other and our people. We used to trade it and whatnot. But today you got to cleanse because you could be putting plastic food in your system. You think you eating vegetables, but they done grafted some fish ears or some fish fin in there and made you a tomato. They call it Franken food. Why? Because the way they made Frankenstein. Different body parts from different people, didn't matter if it was male or female, and they connected it all together and gave it a volt of electricity and it lived. So now we eat all this dead food. Dead food. I mean, you really can't hardly help it, but I always said, and I'm still saying, all the stuff you know that's bad, you're responsible for. But if a little pork sneak in and you didn't know they named it outside that feet along you,
I don't like this one.
and put it on your food bottle, and you drank it or ate it, you didn't know. You're not responsible for what you don't know, but still, that's why you fast. Still, that's why you cleanse. Still, that's why you detox. See, this is more of a robotic world now because of the robots that's supposed to take over. And I'm talking about the robots with skin. Y'all don't get it? Test tube babies, grafted babies. They gotta eat. Oh, y'all, I'm telling you. Everything is affected today. And we still the test dummies in health. But everything in health. Black people are the test dummies. Y'all know that? I don't know if y'all really believe it. Y'all say, well, you go, but no, let's tell the truth. In court, most of us. In the hospital, emergency rooms, most of you. You say, man, my God, where do white people go to court at? Or do they just have them go to court at a certain time of day or something, or is it on a certain day? Because you'll see a white trash walk in. What's his charge? Hanging with a black person. Y'all, I just had to say that like that. But you know it may not have been there, but white trash is something that white folks don't recognize in their own community, get rid of. And he come to us, or she come to us. They'll be in there. Hispanics will be in there. White people don't do no crime? Yes, they do. We just got to find out what time they go to court. That's all. So now you go into the hospital. They don't get sick. They don't be ODing and stuff like that. No, the cameras ain't all in their community waiting for somebody to hang themselves down the street and OD. And then they go small towns. They kind of dictate the sheriff and all in the media what's going to go on in the media. I know a guy, and I ain't going to tell you because we all know him, but I ain't going to put it on Facebook, was driving to another state one day, wound up in a hick town, all right, and went somewhere, and somebody just accused him of doing something in that little store, in that little town, and the mayor was the sheriff and the judge. Y'all know him. We didn't know where he was for a whole year. He was in jail. The same one that arrested him when he went to court, the guy had on the road. I ain't talking about 1860 nothing. I'm talking about 2001. Then he said, hold on a minute, I got to lock you back up. He put on his uniform and locked you back up. From the town hall meeting, he was the mayor. So he charged him. And nobody could find him. They took his cell phone, they took everything, no phone communication. Mother didn't know where he was at. When they decided his sentence was up, the sheriff put on the robe and told him he's free. He told me the whole story. How many times do you think that has happened since then? not get on the news. I'm proving to you that the media chooses to be in our community. For every little thing, a car accident, got hit by a bicycle, anything, there they are. We so popular that even the Hispanics come running, rolling in with Telemundo and all them other stations, all right on our block. How they get to know this too? And here they come, satellite on the truck. Just got here yesterday and we ain't got to tell them nothing.
We ain't telling them nothing.
Brothers and sisters, I'm not trying to speak anything. I want to speak fact and I want to speak truth. I want to say that no matter what condition we are and how things are, ain't nobody going to change it but us. If we got women raising children by themselves, they didn't have it by themselves, they didn't conceive it by themselves. So where's the man? And man, why don't you be one? Think about what I'm saying. Think about it. Because even if it was the woman you didn't want to be with, it don't matter. You should have thought that before you laid down. They got so many things that you can use to keep from making a child. Where you can choose that you want to make one later with the one that you're in love with. But if you choose to do it without that, because for something, because you don't fast enough, and you're dealing with the pleasures of the world, then made it, take care of it. We talk about people, children, who have psychological problems as they became adults because they didn't have a father in the house. Or a father who raised his children and they have psychological problems because there was no mother in the house. Not a woman, your mother. Not a stepfather, your father. Or the one that mother and father are alive but they ain't together and you in the foster home. That's another form of psychology that messes with them. They know you in the city somewhere. But you couldn't take care of because you on drugs. Dad, well, he was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his head was the home. Back in our day, they called them welfare payments. They knew about the 1st and the 15th. Matter of fact, that was like a lottery number.
They know that now. Come on, leave.
They linked them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it's 4 days early now.
They know when to ease up to you and get back in, and they know when to start something to get put out. So they can get there by the 15th and get a little time to make up and get back in for that check. See, so, remember I told you this thing is about a choice now. Do you really want to be free? Are you willing to do the sacrifice that it's going to take to be free? Now, it might be too late for some of us who might be grown and wasn't raised with their mother and father. It might be too late for some of us because we done left our spouse and our children are growing up without a mother and father, but it ain't too late for them. You have to instill the understanding in those children about why it is so important for marriage. Now some of us want to now again, that's why we can't unite. Brother Minister, what about polygamy? Now, I'm not going to even spend a lot of time on that, but I hope that before this month is out, that I will address that. But I will say this much based on history, that in times of war, and we are at war, and because the men at that time were being decimated and destroyed, now they got women in the army and in the military. At that time there weren't any. In the days of the Prophet Muhammad, the same thing. When they were going to war and they were fighting. The men were being decimated. The wives didn't have a husband. The children didn't have a father. So the Prophet Muhammad made a law. And he said you can have up to 9 wives. But you got to take care of your children and everyone just like you do for the first one. If you're not able to do so, Don't go and get that person and take her as a wife. Don't do it. That is how it was started in Islam. Now go all the way back before Islam, you would say, well, what about Abraham? What about Isaac? What about them? They had a bunch of wives. What about the other prophets and other people in the Bible that had different wives and all? Yeah, they did. But it wasn't for the reason of war this time. See, men at that time, whatever the law was, y'all have to accept that this was the law. Men's entire understanding for carrying their future forward was based on how many women can carry their name. To keep the Wilson name alive, if you can understand what I'm saying, right? So at that time, they weren't called families, right? What were they called? Somebody tell me.
Tribes.
Tribes. Tribes. So basically, at that time, you would make a miniature government. And at the head of each one was the woman. But yet the family name was one. The family name was one. Then they had children, and then children. Then they spread out. Then they separated. Then they continued. Now, for some of you all, we don't understand today. Today, if there's going to be any kind of thing like that in the black neighborhood, in the black community, I would say that just like they got grants for everything else, we need to get some kind of funding for all men who want to do that, to undergo a training. Oh yeah. Yeah. I bet I get a lot of women to stand up and shout on that if I was out there in the public. That they would go through some kind of training. And then they would have a test. And if they pass the test, then they can have up to 9 women as their wife with their last name. Then there's going to be another group going to come in and say, well, what about the women? Because you know the way Israel is now, right? Can we have up to 9 husbands? See, I know how it all can keep on, just getting worse and worse and worse. There has to be a happy medium. There has to be a common denominator from which all things spring from. But when it begins to now get outside of the basic denomination, then we're no longer under God. We're no longer under nature. We're no longer under things that are natural. You understand? Because I can go into anything and cause all kind of controversy. Like the black widow spider, after she had sex with her male spider, she killed him. So that means if she's going to have another one, she got to find another male spider. And as soon as he finished, she killed him. Should I tell humans to do that? Should I turn around and tell the women, study nature? The first man you just gave it to, is he dead?
No.
Did you strangle him? Did you shoot him in the head or something? So you can get your next house? So in other words, you got to understand who you are, where you are, and what is best for the black community and going forward. That's what the leaders got to sit down at the table and iron out. But they got to set aside their differences. Now, we know that, for one, that milk, original milk, original cow's milk, original goat's milk was okay. But when men and women attain a certain age, they're not supposed to drink that milk anymore. But now we know the goat and the cow all messed up. So now milk is bad for you. So now that should be across the line, unless in the Nation of Islam, they growing their own, well not growing, but they raising their own goats, and they raising their own cow, and the farmland has been, in the dirt has been inspected, you know, to make sure that everything is cool. So that when they eat the grass, chewing the cud, they ain't bringing in some stuff that Monsanto put in the soil. Now they can stand on that and say, yeah, we can drink this milk. But you got to make that kind of announcement so you can put aside all the rumors and all the bull crap. See? And then soy. Well, let me tell you my thing on soy. This is health awareness. They talk about all the things that you can make with the soybean. Now, unless I'm wrong, and I'll come back and apologize. George Washington Carver was dealing with a peanut, not a soybean. Right?
That is correct.
He made varnish the wood. He made a lot of stuff that in that form you can't eat or drink, or you will die. You will die. Because it's not for consumption when you break it down into all those many different things. Well, the same thing they found for the soybean. But let's talk about it in its original form, in its original state. See, I'm sorry, but grape juice ain't the original state. Y'all want to argue with me on it? Did you see any grape juice pouring from a tree? You got a glass of it?
Nope, it's crushed grapes.
Thank you. It's crushed grapes. It's not in its original state. See, I told you I know how to draw the line between this stuff that we argue about. So now let's look at it. Anything that you use and overuse is not good for you. Water can kill you if you drink too much. Yeah. You can drown yourselves and walk around can't breathe because you went water crazy. Regular plants and vegetables. Take carrots. I'm a carrot, whatever. Carrot terrible. All I eat is carrots. All day. Nibble, nibble, nibble. Now your eyes on it. Now you want to run around and say, carrots make your eyes on. Hell yeah, you eating them like that. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, here's what I do. You know, peanuts may not be good for you, like Mama said. You know, for the same reason they say soy ain't good for you. But it's still something God made for us to consume. So now weigh that with what you're saying. If horses eat hay and dried leaves from corn and all that, you ain't finna eat no hay. But if a horse ate an apple and you ate an apple, that apple may not really be the value of that horse, but it didn't say he can't consume it. And you can too. See what I'm saying? So now if you had a peanut butter sandwich, it's not going to kill you. But now if you want to just consume all peanut butter or all peanuts, you might get sick. Believe it or not, sugar in its pure form is good for you. But too much of it, you'll still get diabetes. Too much pure cane sugar or brown sugar, you'll get diabetes. Too much honey, you'll get diabetes. Y'all know that is. Because anything dealing with the pancreas and how it works and how it breaks down sugar and starch, it's the same process. Whether it's fructose, glucose, it's about 7 toasts. I don't know which one of y'all, but all of them has something to do with sugar in the breakdown of it, right? And too much of any of it is not good for you. How do you know what's too much? Well, when they tell you about a diet, they tell you to put more than, like say, you ain't supposed to just eat a salad. for the rest of your life. One kind of salad, lettuce and tomatoes for the rest of your life. You'll be skinny. You'll be malnourished. You'll be half dead. You can't walk. You got you nigga died. A vegetarian. What did he eat? He ain't eat nothing but lettuce and tomatoes. No, lettuce, tomatoes, those other little things, I don't know what they call them, that they throw in that look like little leaves that they sell in jewelry.
Kale.
No, they look like leaves, they're purple and all that.
Initial.
Throw them in there, you throw you some raisins on top of them, you throw you some walnuts or whatever it is on top of them, you throw you some cranberries on top of them. Y'all know what y'all do. You know, now you have a full course meal. Because it's not just lettuce and tomatoes. Y'all catch me? God created us to eat in variety. If he did not, he'd have just made one source of food, we'd still be eating manna. That's it.
That's what I'm talking.
But he created us to eat a variety of food that came out of the earth. He never created us to just eat one thing. Or else when Adam was in the garden, all they could saw was apples. None but rows of apples, apple orchard. Yeah, have a green one and a red one. No. Take things down to the basic common denominator. I learned it from the book. A book called The Book. You have to go back to the common denominator. You can't go wrong. You cannot get lost. It ain't being talked about, but I really still get fibroids. It's the silent killer. They don't talk about it. You don't see it on the list. But the top 10. But yet our women still suffering from fibroids. And it's giving you the same diagnosis. They're giving you the same prescription for how to deal with it. Am I over time? Oh, 10 minutes. Okay. I said you just one. They give you the same diagnosis, and they give you the same cure. What's the cure? Either a hysterectomy, or keep coming back and then you cut it out. You know what they say? It's a person now, because of a fibroid, they can't have a child. Because it's pushing against the fibroid, and if it break a bust, it could kill her and the child. Well, what's the common denominator? Our people, our women. Now, first I want to say this, because here's a part you never heard me say. But I'm going to say it today, and I'm like going to it later on in the future. The root cause of a fibroid is psychological, not physical. It's not what you eat first. It's what it causes you to eat because of it. Y'all catch it? See, certain cravings, your body craves for. And then they can teach you somewhere that a tapeworm has an appetite. Did y'all know that? They hit you with an appetite. Like, no, I didn't ask you to get, did I ask you to eat this? We eat this.
I want no kale greens.
Y'all don't believe that. Parasites have appetite. They eat certain things. They don't eat everything in your system. They eat certain things. Yeah, they have appetite. How they gonna get you to eat to feed them what they want? Now you better ask yourself, is this me hungry for this? Or is this tapeworm and then got to talking to me? Got me wanting all this sugar. Because all they eat is sugar. And it's like energy in this. Cancer is worse than the tapeworm. Cancer, they tell you, is a dead cell. But honest to God, it's a living cell. Because it survives off of sugar. Take the sugar away, and the electrical charge that makes it live will die out. Just that quick. Gone, dude. Like a battery that just, died. But it feeds off of sugar. So if you got cancer, the first thing you're supposed to stop eating is sugar and starch. Why? Because your body turns starch into sugar. You got to starve the cancer cell. How you going to starve something if it's dead? They tell you that cancer cells are dead, didn't they? And way back then when they was teaching us health, they were saying cancer cells are dead cells. No, they are runaway cells that decide to break away from the normal path that cells take. They decide to break away from the normal way that cells work. They renegade. They rebellious.
Taking after they father.
Boy, I hope y'all hear me. I ain't got the 6 more minutes. And I ain't even got, look, I ain't even got 2 minutes. That's okay, I got some things. When you at home, this is another reason I tell y'all. Take some time out of your life and slow down and stop. Just stop. Turn off the TV. Don't have your phone on. Turn off your computer. Don't play no music. Make sure it's early in the morning where you don't hear a bunch of cars and a whole bunch of other crap in the atmosphere. Slow down, stop, put on brakes. Start talking to your body. Start making commands and demands for cancer to leave. Start making commands and demands for whatever's in your system that the Creator will draw you to whatever book or whatever anything that He draws you to give you your answer. And then keep your eyes open while you're driving, because He might show it to you in a billboard. Or He might show it to you when you're passing by one of the health food stores. He just might show it to you somewhere, but keep your mind and your heart open to receive your answer, your cure. It starts in the mind. It starts with how you think. How you think will determine what you do to get well, to be healed, to be cured. How you think. When the doctor say, well, I see cancer cells, say, we knew that. They always in our body. Tell me something different now. See, people get afraid when you say that, and this is the first beginning of when they start experimenting with you. You see what I'm saying? They told Yahshua White, we see cancer cells. I told Yahshua, say, yeah, you look at me far enough and deep enough, you're going to find me. Everybody, they cut open. They saw where cancer was getting ready to start. I say, man, don't listen to them. Take these herbs right in and let her have these children. She had 5 children. They told her she had ovarian cancer or something. And she still ain't took any medication. After 5 children. She ain't dead. She would have probably been dead by now if she would believe them and went and let them do what they wanted to do. What am I saying? We are the most experimented group on the planet. They find cures through us, being the dummies. They can't wait for you to die. They can't wait to get your organ and whatever it is, your kidney and whatnot. Whether they're going to give it to somebody or not, they want to break it down. Look, the most wisest of them know that every organ, every part of our system is connected to the solar system. So they studying us because they can't go too far out of space, so they can go in space by studying us. Y'all didn't get that. Y'all will catch it in the future. Did you all know that your pancreas represents Egypt? Yeah. Stuff be going on in Egypt, my stomach. It's not. They know these things. They know that this solar system is the solar system. They know that this earth is earth. Their wisest scientists know this kind of stuff. For you to know makes you divine. For you to know, see, divine means after the mind of God. Connection to the Creator and the creative flow. Then you can warn your people. Then you can share with your people those things that will heal them. You got to come out of her. That stuff that happened to Bill Cosby, that stuff that happened to Kanye, that stuff that happened to Michael Jackson and friends, that stuff that happened to the basketball players, Michael Jordan and all the others, that's because we get our own entertainment corporation. Of our own. And they had a choice too. Michael was going to take up on his choice. He was about to do it, but they killed him. So now you got a lot of people scared to move out and have something of our own, thinking that this devil gonna kill you. But if you understand who made that devil and you become one with it, then that devil can't touch you. But most times these brothers and sisters don't have a connection with their level of understanding. And because of that, they get taken up. People think that Farrakhan is a sellout because he didn't die like the others young. Maybe Farrakhan knew something about the connection with God or Creator that he never backed down off of, no matter where he was at, whether he was before Congress or in a Baptist church or in an Orthodox Muslim place or just in the hood. He always talked about God. He always read from Scripture. He always talked about moral principles and righteous conduct, no matter what. And he always called a spade a spade. He always called out the enemy. He always called out the government. They can't touch him because he said, you can't lose with the stuff I use. That's how the Nation of Islam lasts for 70 years. That's how. That's why the rest of them failed. But they didn't have the God that he had. Now what you mean, brother? That's Quran Muhammad? No. That ain't what I meant. I'll tell you who I meant. Because all I'm going to do is quote the data so you can understand who I meant. Y'all want to hear? Allah, God, right? Who came in the person of Master Quran Muhammad. They say nothing. That mean he was God? Nope. I wouldn't be alive today if God wouldn't have came to me in the person of my sister Sheree Evans. Now I supposed to fall out the bed and worship, but not right. Right? No. But thank God for being God that when I saw Sheree, I saw the Father. He ain't stay there to that same degree. But just long enough for me to get what I needed to get so that I could be healed. Pastor Farhan Muhammad stayed long enough with Elijah Muhammad for 3.5 years so he could get what he came to bring him. Then he had to go. Then my sister had to leave. Then I went and used the stuff that God told her to tell me, and now I'm still here. Sarcoidosis didn't kill me, but God came to me in the person of my sister. Now you probably got a testimony where God saved you and brought somebody into your life to introduce you to something that saved your life. That didn't make that person God. That made that entity enveloped that individual and sent them to you. No, you expected an angel with some chicken wings. And all throughout the Bible, angels didn't have wings. They were men. They were women sent to you. Then the Spirit would leave them after the assignment was done. So that's the God I'm talking about. The one that came in that person, but didn't stay with him. That jumped off of him and got in Elijah. And he always kept God first. Always kept God first. Always studying. Always praying. Always getting up at 5 a.m. If he fell off, get back on. Always find that quiet spot to allow God to talk to you. Prayer is when you're talking to the ether or to God, whatever you want to call it. But when you meditate and listen, you'll hear the Spirit talking through you. The voices sound like yours. Because in all essence, it is your voice. Because he uses your voice. Somebody you familiar with. Are you more familiar with anybody else other than your own self? Or your own voice? Think about it. I know I'm supposed to be through, but I got caught up for a moment. Y'all see me getting from behind the podium. That means I got caught up. So I'm going to go back now. My voice is even going almost. But look, y'all. This is Health Awareness Month. And I wanted to start with us getting a healthy mind. A healthy understanding of who we are, how we are, where we are, and what we need to be doing in our own individual lives to stay healthy. Yes, you're going to fall away and eat some crazy stuff like some potato chips and some this and that. But you need to detox. Bro, guys, we need to detox. It's a robotic world. Y'all better accept that fact. Y'all was waiting on them little kinkly things, you know. They showed you on TV all the time they was going to be in human form. With flesh. Oh, y'all didn't catch it. Maybe I should be eating more clear. By eating all the processed foods and stuff we eat, we became a robotic being. Not eating the natural stuff. Can robots eat fruits and that? Yeah. Can they eat chips too? Yeah. Y'all don't like that. Y'all can question me now. I got 30 minutes to question. Yeah, it's a robotic world. What other kind of, when have we had to detox a kidney? Detox a liver? Detox your lungs? You know, you had to do a colon cleanse. We did all this stuff. You have to do a colonic. Hell, none of them tools and instruments was around at the time. There were certain plants and stuff we could eat that would, if we were constipated. Somebody among us, among the tribe, the griots or whatever, will get a leaf somewhere from a tree and say, just chew on this. You go on out there, run before it runs, and let it go. You was feeling all right. That was your cleanse. Now we got capsules we take, that's robotic. And we take them capsules, and then we do a mixture of something, that's robotic. That's oil. Y'all, look here. Y'all better see this thing. We don't like my truth. I can feel it. But these are realities. Now don't cleanse. Don't detox. You're going to become a toxic waste dump. Then every ailment and disease will live with you. And when they find out at the doctor's office that every ailment and disease lives with you, oh, his language will start changing. Because you have now become the experimental dummy so they can find the cure for all the stuff that your toxic dope behind has. That's what you'll become for that doctor. I'm going to end as I begin. In the ancient yet holy words of peace, in many different languages of our fathers, peace, hotel, shalom, assalamu alaikum, barakatuh, lafi, and ashe. Peace, y'all.